Yes, we're back again. It is episode 24 of the Hibs Ramble, and it seems to now be the usual suspects. It's me, Liam, and I'm joined tonight by Shaun. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. We're pretty much the whole podcast, just the two of us now. So
Yeah, Craig can't be here. His wee laddie's sick, and it's Mark's birthday today. So a big happy birthday to Mark. He is away out for his dinner with his missus to the Dome. I hope he's got plenty of money in his bank account. I hope he's just been paid, because that will not be a cheap dinner.
that's probably why he picked the Dome, because he'll not be the one paying for it because it's his birthday.
He'll need to go halfers probably. Too expensive. But aye, how are you, mate? It's been a few days since we chatted last about.
I am great. I am absolutely brilliant.
And you'll probably be able to tell if you're watching on YouTube, it's because Shaun's got two Lionel Messi shirts up behind him today. He's something of a wee Messi fanboy, so you would have been delighted at the game last night, then, eh?
Yeah, well, it's proper stressy, wasn't it? Eh? So it's
No,
by far best World Cup final I've watched, and in my lifetime, it's the best World Cup as well.
that's what I've got down here. It was a superb game, really, from maybe like the 40th minute up to the 80th minute.
Yeah.
It was a bit boring, but otherwise, what a game, man! And for Messi to bow out, maybe his international career. I don't know if he's going to
Nah,
continue.
he's already came out and said that he wants to play with the 3 stars on his shirt. He wants to play as world champions. What a guy, eh?
What a guy, man! Play him in a friendly against Scotland. That'll do.
Sell it.
Aye, but you're saying the best World Cup ever. I think also it's the best World Cup ever. Also, I think that I've watched more of it because it's been in winter than I would have done if it was summer.
Yeah, I think so. I think that plays a massive part. I think a lot of people have watched the majority of all the games as well. So I think because there's been so many upsets as well, it's been really enjoyable. And then even
It has been
the
absolutely,
knockout
really
rounds
has
as well were
been
really
beautiful.
good. Games were really good to watch.
I can't remember another World Cup. I mean, 2010 springs to mind. I think just because of nostalgia, because I was in school and it was being shown in the big tellies in the lunch hall and that. But apart from that, this is. Oh, I mean, I think I've probably enjoyed this one even more. It's been amazing. I wanted Argentina to win it for the start, and they went out and done it. As Messi solidified himself as the GOAT.
Should have never even been a debate in the first place. Let's be serious.
I know, but we need to, for the benefit of everyone else listening.
The thing is, even if Argentina didn't win it, my point would still be the same. I still think it was such a good final. You had the big players turning up in big moments, although France were absolute dug meat for 80 minutes.
You got to
Mbappe
feel for
pops up.
Mbappe though.
You know what I mean? He's already got winners. He's already got a winners medal. He's all right.
He does, but I mean, that wouldn't have made it any. No one would have went up to him yesterday and went, "Oh, it's all right, Killian. You won it last time."
To be fair, he'll go on to break the World Cup record. He's already 3 away, so he'll break that the next World Cup, and he'll only be 27. So he'll smash that.
He's absolutely mental. He's so good.
His numbers are
so good. He scored an absolutely incredible goal yesterday. But what was your goal of the tournament?
Argentina's second goal yesterday. Yours?
I tell you what, I think Richarlison against South Korea.
That's a good goal. You asked me that. Was it yesterday? I couldn't decide. I think I sent you a 5. And Richarlison's was in there. Richarlison's was second.
Richarlison scored an overhead kick against Serbia, and then he scored that lovely team goal. That was a beautiful goal. That was box office Brazil at its best.
Yeah, I know. And Neymar had a goal like that as well, eh? So that was a good goal.
Yeah, against Croatia.
You had the Mexico 30-yarder when they needed to win the game. You had Mbappe's yesterday, the second one. The Croatia one for the third place playoff. Saudi Arabia's. Some absolute crackers in there, like
Hakimi's penalty in the shootout.
Exactly. I know, barely left the ground.
Mate, there's been so many good penalties as well. Messi, see when he waits for the goalie to dive and then he just picks the other corner. He nearly missed his one in the shootout, by the way.
I hate watching him take pens. It doesn't sit right with me. But Harry Kane's second penalty was the best penalty of the tournament.
Harry Kane. Well, we'll leave the chat about World Cup on a good note then, talking about England fucking it. Rangers. We were at Ibrox last Thursday. Well, I was, Shaun, you weren't, but I mean Hibs. I said 4-3 on the pod. I was confident of a win on the pod, but see, as soon as I pressed
Two
record,
1 on the pod. You said 2-1. I think you
what did I say? 2-1.
did 2-1. You said 4-3 for the final last night.
I can't remember. I can't tell my
You were right at one point. You were at half time. You were correct. Hibs were winning 2-1.
Yes, no, I was thinking this is the closest I've ever been to a fucking right prediction all season. I truly didn't believe that we were going to get anything from that game on Thursday. Our first half was really good. I thought, Shaun, that when we were watching that, we'd seen what Lee Johnson and the players had been working on over the break. It looked as though we'd turned a corner. It probably still is that way, to be honest with you. I know a lot of people are raging about it, but I'm seeming to take more positives than negatives from this game. First half especially. Let's talk about the goals. The first goal, good corner in, nice header for Porteous. No much that you can.
The leap that he gets and the free room that he gets is brilliant. He's done well to get the space, and it's a brilliant bullet header. He's done very well.
Yeah, I mean, I think the last time we scored for a corner was the Scottish Cup final. I mean, I can't remember us scoring.
We didn't do it that often, that's for sure.
No, we really don't. And then second goal right after their equaliser is a really good finish, catching Rangers off guard. But I mean, I was too busy hanging my head in shame because I was going mental at the Rangers fans. I was right next to them. I was too busy hanging my head in shame after they scored, and I looked up and Nisbet hits it and it goes in, and then it's absolute bedlam again. But Shaun, do you think first half we were seeing as a fan what you wanted to see when you go and play Rangers or you go and play Celtic?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think Lee Johnson, when he came in, he promised that regardless of who we're playing and where we're playing, he would take the game to them. He did say that it would take time to kind of instill that philosophy. We have seen it in spells, and again against Rangers we saw it in spells. This spell being a 45-minute one. It's the kind of intent that we should show against the Old Firm, especially when, like you mentioned last week, they could have been, we could have caught them cold with the new manager and, in between systems and philosophies and stuff like that. And I think we took real advantage in the first half. And I mean, we could have maybe even had a third or a fourth if Campbell's shot goes different or Ellie Yuan takes his chance. So, it was a really, really strong first half.
It was. I mean, as much as we were good, I think Rangers were equally as. I'm not going to say they were shite because I don't think they were. I just don't think they were awfully organised. Maybe down to team selection. I know that their defence was a little bit makeshift. But I mean, you still need to play well. If you go to Ibrox and you score twice in the first half, you need to have played. I mean, well enough to score two goals.
You need stuff to go your way, and I think with the team selection that Rangers had and the bodies that they had out, everything in that first half was going our way. Very, very poor goal to concede in the first half. It's a very, very poor header away for Hanlon. Cadden could probably do better as well.
I think it is very, very poor from Cadden. I think Mark probably wanted to get that point across as well at the game. He was absolutely furious because
Cadden was so narrow. I think if he maybe just takes a step or two to his right, I don't know if that's maybe because he Porteous in that more advanced role as a CDM, he maybe naturally felt himself coming in a wee bit because we have played with three centre halves, and he felt there was maybe a bit of space there. I don't know, but if he takes a couple of steps to the right, he maybe closes it down a bit quicker. But obviously the reaction to going to conceding that goal was brilliant because we just went straight up the other end and scored. And although Lee Johnson wasn't really celebrating, it was still having a go at Paul Hanlon at the time, which is actually good to see.
I mean, that sort of thing never happens to us. It always happens against us.
Yeah.
Never ever happens to us, especially not at Ibrox. I mean, I tell you what, I put a tweet out on the Twitter page the day after the game on Friday, and I got caned. I got absolutely caned from about 100 Rangers fans because I said that the limbs were class.
There's about 150 quote tweets on it.
Mate, it was a joke. I genuinely felt cyberbullied when I was reading some of them.
They didn't take winning or losing well. Like,
I don't understand it, mate. They're just they're an odd bunch. They really are. I don't waste too much time talking about them, but I think they kind of misjudged what my tweet was about. My tweet was about the limbs were sensational. I filled in about 4 rows, and Mark had to pull me up, and I just feel like that us getting beat kind of ruined that. I think it would.
I think your
really,
tweet
really
was just
good.
more trying to emphasise how good that moment was, not necessarily celebrate it, regardless of the result.
Nah, no celebrating a defeat. I mean, that's
No, of
leave
course
it up to Hearts fans. That's what they do best. Celebrating defeats and draws and stuff. But I was just talking about the limbs, mate, and it was utter limbs. And apart from the Scottish Cup final, I think maybe only Hanlon's equalised at Tynecastle for 2-2, and Ross Caldwell's winner at Tynecastle for 2-1. I still think I went more mental at Nisbet's second goal there, Nisbet's goal at Ibrox on Thursday. It was absolutely crazy. Well, what's amazed limbs apart from the cup final that you've been involved?
Well, we discussed it in the chat. So you've got the ones that you mentioned there. You've got the Killie away in the Scottish Cup. Was it 2012, 2013? Stadium was about to collapse that day.
There was 6 Killie pies.
Even Motherwell away when Melkerson got his double. That those were limbs. You've obviously got the 3-0 at Hampden as well. I know you said apart from Hampden, but you've got 3-0 again or 3-1 against Rangers at Hampden. You've got Horgan's second goal.
Choose one, Shaun. Choose one. One goal.
You didn't say choose one.
No, I'm telling you now. Choose one.
That you didn't mention.
Either or, mate.
Because I would have went Ross Caldwell's winner, but you mentioned.
Right, apart from that
then. I'll go Horgan's second.
It was a good
because I was about 5 or 6 rows.
I'm sure you're in the picture, you know.
I am. It's my wallpaper. It has been since the day after the game.
You and Big Horribine.
There's about 5 or 6 pictures of me and Big H jumping about 6 rows.
I'm sure Big Horribine was in like a camo jacket.
He is. He is.
The most inconspicuous camo jacket on the face of the earth.
That's my favourite because when I finally got down to the first row, like Lewis Stevenson just came head to head with me as well.
That's class.
Just getting at Yaldi, and it was brilliant.
That's class. Back to Ibrox. So second half, you were watching on the telly. What happened? See, from my point of view, in the stand, it looked like we were just on the back foot. Didn't look an awful lot like we were sitting in. Admittedly, the view from that corner probably isn't the best that you can get. Didn't look like we were really sitting in. It just looked like we were under pressure.
It was a mixture of
when we could.
It was a mixture of sitting in and not being able to get out. I don't know what the instruction was at half time. We've seen it a lot. I don't even know if it was an instruction for Lee Johnson to try and hold on to it, but we've seen it a lot under Jack Ross. We've seen it a lot under Shaun Maloney. We're seeing it a lot under Lee Johnson, that when we are in front, regardless of the opposition, we do seem to creep back as the game goes on. Now, again, I don't know if that is mentally from the players or if it's actually an instruction from the bench, but a lot of the second half, Nisbet was finding himself in a midfield role, and then we had no outlet as well. It was very, very strange. It was just a complete contrast with the first half, and even I can understand maybe doing it towards the end of the game, last 10 minutes, sit deep, try and fight it out, clear balls or whatever. But trying to do that for the start of the second half, it just isn't on. And even if that was the instruction, Lee Johnson should be smart enough, or someone on that bench should be smart enough to say, listen, we need to maybe change it up and maybe put on a couple of fresh bodies or change up the shape or something. Even if you went to 3-5-2 or just try to get more pace on the park or something. And it just looked like he
tried to change
decided
the
to
shape
sit in.
at some point. He tried to change it at some point when he brings on McGeady and McCurdy and stuff like that. But do you reckon that it's maybe if both managers and players are to blame, do you think that it's maybe a lack of experience playing, against the old firm, especially away from home? You've got, a fair few players there that haven't played at Ibrox before.
Yeah. And the vast majority of that squad now has never beaten Rangers, especially at Ibrox. Do you know what I mean? Because we've not beaten them there probably since the McLaren penalty. So the vast majority of that squad just isn't there. So yeah, you could be right. It could be something that subconsciously creeps in. But sometimes that just can't be helped, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I tell you what, it really was a shame because it was just a shite way. I think both goals in the second half from Rangers is poor defending from Hibs, especially the Morelos one. Although it's a good goal from a Rangers point of view, you're saying that's a fantastic goal.
I feel like Paul Hanlon's at fault for
we really could defend it better. We really could defend it better.
Yeah.
But listen, we'll wrap up on the Rangers game at the moment because this is hopefully a happy podcast. We want to be happy and smiling. So we'll wrap up the Rangers game with a cinch Piemiership update.
Which pie is the best in the pie review? Which pie is the best in the pie review?
So, me and Mark were at Ibrox on Thursday. Although, before I talk about the Ibrox pie, I need to talk about the Kelly pie because I forgot to do it last time.
Did you? Because I spoke about my Kelly pie, did I not?
Nah, I don't think did we do a Kelly review?
I'm certain we done a Kelly. I'm certain we done a Kelly review because.
We must have done.
We did. We were
100%. You had a shite review and I had a good review.
Yeah.
So Ibrox pie. Prepare yourself, Shaun. I think you're going to be horrified at what I've got to say.
I'm starving as it is, so this might make me more hungry or less hungry.
Aye. So temperature, considering it was -5 in Govan on Thursday, temperature was a 5. Warmed me up perfectly. It was the perfect temperature. Kevin, it's not too hot.
Yeah.
And it's not too lukewarm. It's
right
in the middle. In the middle of the 5. It was fantastic. The crust is a 2.
Oh.
It was too soggy. It was really tasty. It was too soggy. If it was just a little bit more crisp, I don't mind a wee bit of sog. A wee bit of sog is okay with me, but it was like kind of just like flimsy. It didn't fall apart.
Right, and that's why it's not a 1.
I think a 2 is maybe a bit harsh, but I've already written 2. Filling is a 4.
Wow.
It was really good. It was really, really good.
Was that a steak and gravy?
It was. It makes me so hungry because I hate Rangers, but it was so good, man. The film was superb. It was a great ratio between steak and gravy. I don't understand then where the sogginess came from because there wasn't too much gravy. It was.
Maybe it just been sitting about.
It was so close to perfect. And the price £3.40. So that's been given a price point of 3. Because I kind of hold that between £3 and £3.50. I'm happy with that. I'm more than happy with that. I also got a Bovril, which was good, on a -5 night. So that gives Rangers a score of 14 out of 20, which I think
that's a good effort.
That actually brings it joint second. I think it does.
Wow.
Brings it joint second with Ross County tucked in behind Kilmarnock.
Did you have a second pie? Was anything thrown at you, or
a couple of cups of piss?
Right.
There was some bottles thrown. unfortunately, there was no steak and gravy pies thrown my way.
The
Or else,
fatties they're the way, they're never going to waste time.
that's exactly what I was saying. That's exactly what I was saying. But pie was superb, and I'm just going to look in the chat now because Mark has also submitted his pie score. He thought the pie was actually really good. He said.
Did he send you an individual breakdown? Because he only
He's
sent
not-
a quote in the chat.
He's not sent me an individual breakdown.
Just 15 then.
He says 15. So I'm not too sure where his scores have come from. I think they're probably similar to mine. He did really enjoy it when he was standing next to me. So well done, Rangers, if you're listening. Really good effort. Just kind of make sure that they're not sitting like under a hot plate to make them soggy and that. But anyway, I digress. And that concludes our Piemiership review for this week. Right. Shaun, moving on to Livingston on Saturday. Now, I'm torn as to whether I'm actually going to go or not. Because, not because we're playing shy at the moment. Not because of that. But it's Mila's first Christmas. It's her first Christmas Eve. And I know for a fact, even though it's a 2:00 kickoff, I'll be back for ages and ages and ages.
By the time she goes to bed or something.
Yeah. So I don't think I'm going to go because I would rather spend Christmas Eve with Megan and Mila and maybe just watch it.
I feel like that's a wise choice.
Maybe just watch it on Hibs TV.
Yeah,
And I'll tell you, the last time I stayed at home and watched a game on Hibs TV with Mila, we won 3-0 against St Mirren, and that is the last time we won. But will you be making the trip along on Christmas Eve this year?
At the moment, yes. Plans may change, but at the moment, yes, that's correct.
If you're going, will you be able to give us a Easter Road pie review if you've not done one already?
I've done an Easter Road one already, but yeah,
Have
I
you?
can. Yeah, I would need one anyway because it'll be bloody freezing.
Exactly, mate. It's going to be brutal. But on to the game. Livingston, they've not played a competitive game since they last played in the league before the World Cup, which was a 1-1 draw at Tynecastle with Hearts. Their game at the weekend against United was postponed. I would imagine due to like a frozen pitch or snow on a pitch or whatever. They did win a friendly cup.
They added that star above their jersey. They're really proud of it. Well done.
I actually think that's quite good pattern.
It was decent. I like it.
I don't like saying that Livi have got good pattern because they always take the piss out of it.
They actually, that's where most of their decent pattern comes from, is taking the piss anyway, isn't it?
I know.
I'm sure they've got something up their sleeve.
Yeah.
Plus, they done on, I think it was the game before the break. They done their comms on the Twitter as an old style Football Manager, Chat Manager 0102. So I was a big fan of that.
I've seen that. I know that they do get it right on social media, don't they? I think it's got a 0-0 written all over it, Shaun, to be honest with you. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm slightly concerned about this game, because we never really seem to do that overly well against Livi. Yeah, I don't think we'll win.
Two teams that are in a bit of a decline, plus the fact that Livi are usually quite tough to beat, regardless of whether they're playing at home or they're playing away. I think it's going to be a difficult game, but would it be a good Christmas present for Hibs to come away from Saturday with a point?
It'd be a good Christmas present if it got cancelled. At this moment in time, geez, of course, 3 points. 3 points would be great.
No, I'm talking about a point. Would it be a good Christmas present if we got a draw?
No, it wouldn't.
I think it would, to be honest.
On current form, it would be. We need to get a win some point. So, and we're not going to get very many between now and the end of January. So we may as well try and get one at home to fucking Livi. Come on.
Ah, that's right. They've obviously went and got Stephen Bradley throughout the break. I don't know if he'll be involved on Saturday.
David Martindale's already said that he's not ready to play first team football for Livi and he'll go out on loan. So
thank God, because that was a goal waiting to happen, wasn't it?
It wouldn't surprise me if he banged a double in, to be fair. But fair play to the lad, whatever he ends up doing with his career. But
happy for him to get a move. I mean, I think we touched on it last week. he's not good enough to play for Hibs, but he's still a half decent wee player, and I'm glad that he's.
Livy will pump him out on loan.
He'll
and
turn
then
into a tremendous player at Livy, but he
Yeah.
just wouldn't have got the time at Hibs, which is a shame, because I think that's happened to so many young players who have come through, like even Hibs, Hearts, and Aberdeen and stuff, and they've not really been good enough to play there just of yet, and then they've went out and like Lauren Shankland for one. Look at Lauren Shankland,
I know.
Aberdeen.
Couldn't get a game.
Curtis Byrne and that played for Hibs.
Player, absolute player.
What a player, mate! But yeah, every time I think about this game, mate, it's making me upset.
Putting you in a bad mood. I know.
Funny. I don't really want to talk about it too much.
It's
To be
because
honest.
it's purely because it's Livy, and it's a guaranteed 0 points for the Hibs.
I've got PTSD with playing Livingston, both at home and away. They always seem to beat us. I think we beat Livingston less frequently than we beat like Celtic at Easter.
You could be right. Somebody will need to have to look that up and look at a record, because it is absolutely stinking against Livy. Do you know what? Hibs are getting the win. Hibs are getting the win.
Here we go.
Let's get this more upbeat. It's going to be 1-0 Hibs. Goals going to
top of your Christmas list.
Goals going to come between the 60th and the 75th minute, and then we'll see the game out. And Livy will offer absolutely nothing for 90 minutes, and will be absolutely solid and hard to beat. Heard it here first, and it'll be a sub that scores the winner.
Harry McCurdy. See if I stay at home and Harry McCurdy scores his first goal and does the arrow celebration, I am going to be absolutely fucking furious.
You say week in, week out that Harry McCurdy is going to score. He's going to score eventually. I just don't think it'll be for Hibs.
Mate, have you seen what he's been going on about on Instagram?
Nah, I don't. I follow him actually, but I don't.
No, it was like on Twitter. So there was like another podcast.
Oh, the one down in England.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I put that in the chat. Yeah.
Something about he cried for 7 hours straight after missing a penalty against Port Vale or something like that in the playoffs, and some boy was like ripping him, and or trying to rip him in the comments, and he replied to one of them saying, "Your bird's crap." He calls someone like Specky Four Eyes as well.
Oh yeah, I love stuff like that. Yeah, I love it.
I think he's definitely a character, but Mark seems to think that he's going to be shifted in January.
So I think Craig thinks the same as well. I think based on what Lee Johnson wants, a lot of players will get shifted in January, but whether we're actually able to move them on or not is a different conversation.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. But just to wrap it up on the Livy preview, have you got a prediction for me? Are you sticking with 1-0?
I'll stick with 1-0.
I'm going to go with 0-0. I would love a 0-0. Bet your hand off for a 0-0. With Hibs scoring in like the last 5 minutes, but again chopped off with VAR.
Right. Okay.
That's
do you know what we've not had in a while? A sending off.
Oh, aye, at Easter Road.
Yeah.
Oh no, we had one the last time we played at Easter Road, did we not?
Aye, but because of the World Cup, it's been ages.
We're
due.
I was quite glad we never saw a red card.
Hibs are due a red card against them.
We actually are, eh? We're due a red card against us more than we're due a win at Ibrox or Parkhead or in, man.
Due a penalty as well.
Aye, penalty and a red card, and we'll miss it. Now, and then it will get retaken, and then we'll miss it again. That'll do. No. Take the point. Bite your hand off. Right. Transfer window. I messaged you earlier on saying if you could realistically sign 3 players within, the kind of void of reason for Hibs to strengthen the team during the window, who would they be? Asked you off air, and you said,
nobody.
I've not got anyone.
To be fair, I actually don't remember you messaging me at all, and I do not remember seeing said message.
To be fair, it was like 4:45.
Oh, right, okay.
4:45 when I messaged you. I've got 3 that I wrote down.
Yeah, let's get it.
I've been a big advocate for this boy for a long time. I think also if a certain Ryan Porteous is moving on in January, even regardless if he doesn't move on, I think we still need another body in at centre half. And my first pick would be Jack Fitzwater of Livingston.
Knew that was coming. Yeah.
I think he's solid. I think he's better than Obalai. He is a no-nonsense defender. He reminds me a little bit of Darren McGregor in his younger days, no nonsense, but he can play a bit as well. So I think we need someone like that to come and just shore up the defence. Get him in. I think he's now had a couple of years at Livi, so he knows the league. He knows what it takes to, just be a shit house at the back. And that is exactly what we need. My second player is, and I'm so sorry if I butcher this name, Dipo Akinyemi from
Yeah,
Ayr.
I'm sure he's going to be listening.
Well, he might be. And if you're listening, Dipo, get yourself on East Main, Sam. 15 goals in 18 appearances so far for Ayr United in the Championship, who I think are near enough the top of the league. Are they top?
They're there or thereabouts. They're a surprise
thereabouts.
package this season, I think.
I mean, it's maybe got shades of Lawrence Shankland written all over it, but 15 goals in 18. He's had a career at non-league in England up until now, where he's signed for Ayr. I can't imagine if we were to go for him now, he would cost us an awful lot of money. He's 25, so it's not like he's going to grow and grow and grow. Get him in, as far as I'm concerned. We really need someone who will put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah.
I don't know the extent of Kukarevich's injury. I've seen online that he's fucked. I've seen online that he's going to be back. And then there's also the risk of Kevin Nisbet then, niggling his long-term injury that he had, and then possibly being out again, and then we're kind of back to square one. I would get him in. I wouldn't break the bank for him if Ayr United are wanting, upwards of 300 grand, 400 grand, then I'd be like, maybe not. But if we can get him on the cheap, then I think that would be a really good addition. Finally, Danny Armstrong from Kilmarnock. He's had a good season so far. Young laddie, pacey, can play out wide, can play through the middle. Good from dead ball situations. Maybe be a good replacement for Boyle at the moment while he's out, and could maybe be, Boyle's apprentice for when he starts to wind down his career. Good for dead balls as well. Don't know if I've mentioned that. He scored a couple of free kicks this season. And I'm sure he scored against us. I'm sure he scored the penalty against us at Rugby Park. So that's the three that I would go for. But off the top of your head, is there anyone that you can think of that?
Obviously, I made this point off air. Very rarely do you see players move from like let's class it as a lower SPFL team to like a Hibs or anything like that without paying a decent fee. And I know the board and the recruitment team haven't been shy about chucking money about, rightly or wrongly, for the right or wrong players. My point would be, if Porteous doesn't get moved on in January, and we've got him, and we've got Rocky, we've still got Will Fish, we've still got Hanlon, albeit I don't think Hanlon should be playing, but that's another conversation. Should we not be looking to try and get Megwa or Blaney in to try and get them some level of
Megwa, man.
And talking from an attacking sense, considering Ethan and Josh are out of contract in the summer and they're still banging in the goals right, left and centre, should we not be trying to bleed them into the squad a wee bit more as well? And you've still got other players in the midfield for the 19s and that potentially should be given some level of a chance. I don't see an issue with putting one or two in now and again if the rest of the team has enough experience. Like I don't see, if we were to go to like a 3-5-2, I don't see an issue playing Will Fish a wee bit more, or Blaney, or Megwa a wee bit more if they're in that three already.
When are they going to get first team experience if they're not playing in the
That's
first
my point.
team?
I also
We've got so much high hopes for these laddies, and it's been the same for years. Laidlaw has been about for, well, I think I first heard Ethan Laidlaw in the COVID season. I know he's still only, 19, 18? So he would have been 16 or something in the COVID season, but that's been 3 seasons and he's not made a single appearance. If you've not listened to our Ethan Laidlaw and Josh O'Connor special, go back. We released it a few weeks ago. It's a really, really good insight to.
But the thing is, even if just we'll use those two as an example, right? Because they're both attacking players and we're struggling for goals, right? You've got players like Nisbet who's just back. Obviously, he's a starter. That's a given. You've got Kukurevich who started well, but no one really had any idea about him when we brought him in the January window. McCurdy's not really offered us that much, albeit he's not been given a good run of games. He's not started and anything like that. Melkerson, we thought he was going to tear it up after Motherwell away. He's not done that as well. Aye. So I don't see why, especially with the Boyle injury.
There's no risk for that.
Especially with Josh, because he likes to drift out wide anyway. So if we are playing a 4-3-3, why can he not play in front of Cadden? Ethan Laidlaw likes to drop deep. Is it worth maybe chucking him up top and putting Nisbet in the 10, or the other way about? And then obviously you've got Aitken in that as well. That we're playing Ryan Porteous in midfield, who's not a midfielder. His best position is a centre half. Why do we know then either keep playing Noah Kenny or put Murray Aitken in there as well? Like I
don't see why Noah Kenny's been dropped.
We're not going to light up the league the rest of the season. We're not going to finish second. At this rate, we're going to struggle to get into Europe. Never mind the top 6. So I don't see why between now and the end of the season, clean out the squad that we need to do in January, and maybe play one of these players. Why not drop Paul Hanlon and put Megla in or Blaney in and put him alongside Porteous and Rocky in a 3? Do you know what I mean? Or maybe drop Cadden, because Cadden's been absolutely stinking for a while, and put Megla at right back, and then that maybe offers us more of a defensive shape.
Yeah, I think there's always been a lot of chat around the get the youngsters in the first team, get the youngsters in, but I mean, what really is there to lose? We're playing shite anyway. If they don't have a great game, then they don't have a great game. We're not bringing them in to rely on them. It would just be an experiment. Get them in. They're never going to get.
You're not putting 5 or 6 in at once. You're not putting half the development squad and half the 19 squad in there at once. Like, unless we were playing, I don't know, like
Irvin Meadow.
Aye. Unless we were playing somebody like that, or we got a really, really easy tie in the Scottish Cup, I wouldn't expect us to be starting 5 or 6 of them. Do you know what I mean?
We did get an easy tie in the Scottish Cup.
Well.
I bet this will get clipped by Aaron Fraser or something.
I don't see the issue with starting 1 or 2 of them. As long as they're not both on the right side or both on the left side, we should give them a go. Maybe not against Motherwell and not against the Livi at home, because they'll get bullied because it's Livi. But do you know what I mean? Like maybe like Dundee United or a Ross County or somebody at home, or especially if we were good enough to try and get the game done and dusted, because we play with such a high intensity. I don't see why we can't just. Do you know what? Let's just move on.
I know exactly what you mean.
Nah, because I could go on for ages. I'm not a fan of these people.
Not like you.
I'm not a fan of these people that are like, oh, just play all the youngsters. They're much better. Like, no, they're obviously not. That's why they're not playing. But I don't see the issue with giving 1 or 2 a chance, and that's what we should do.
I can see kind of from to an extent what these people mean. I don't think playing 5 or 6 youngsters for 1 game at the end of the season in a dead rubber doesn't really help anyone, to be honest with you. These players need to be thrown in, not particularly thrown into the deep end, but thrown in when there's a challenge, a bit of pressure, and then they'll get the taste for that. They'll work. I mean, I'm not saying that they don't work hard. I would say then they'll work even harder. They'll give that extra 5% that they didn't have before, and then there could be then opportunities. I just think that there's good players there, and
it'll be interesting to see when we do move players on in January, what, if any, of the 19 squad start to get more of a look in. So, like, if Trebraya leaves, does McIntyre come in? Do we not sign someone and Stevenson plays a wee bit more and McIntyre plays very similar to the Josh Doig situation? There's wee nuggets like that I think could be interesting, but we don't quite know. And maybe that's why some of the more attacking younger players haven't been getting a chance to even get on the squad, because we've got so many. Because we've got so many attackers, Lee Johnson maybe can't justify to the board. Maybe to the players he can, but maybe not to the board. He can't justify dropping Harry McCurdy or Tavares or Melkerson completely out of the squad and putting someone like Ethan or Josh right in there. Whereas maybe at the end of January, when players are moved on, maybe he can do that.
Yeah, no, I get that. And listen, we'll be here all night if we're talking about the development players. But I said earlier on, if you've not listened to our Ethan Laidlaw and Josh O'Connor special, we released it a few weeks ago. It's a really, really good listen. If we do say so ourselves, it gives a really good insight to our championship winning side of last season and their travels in Europe this season. So if you've not listened to that, go back and have a wee listen. It's a really good one. Shaun talks about their league winning campaign, which is really, really good. To talk a lot about Steve Keane and stuff like that. And then Mark asked them, who the worst dressed is. So it's got something for everyone, that episode. But we'll move on to my favourite part of the podcast, which is the listener questions.
Now it's time to answer the Hibs Ramble listener questions.
Okay, to start us off, it is our good friend John McIntosh. And my comments last week have obviously rung true in his head, because he's asked us what's for dinner. He has asked us. He says, what's for dinner? And is Livi now a must win? Must in capital letters, might I add. If we have hopes for top four. I feel like it is, especially with the fixtures coming up. Maybe I'm being pessimistic.
Coronation chicken curry and rice for dinner, and yes, it is a must win.
I'm having chicken wraps, and I think it is a must not lose.
I think I'd rather have one.
I don't know. It's a difficult one. Next one, HFC team for me says list of players we should sell in January, and then Billy has commented underneath that should be a list who would keep, would probably be shorter.
He's probably right.
Players to sell. I mean, I wouldn't say go ahead and sell anyone really. I mean, I wouldn't be like actively try and sell him. I think if offers came in for players like Chibraya, Tavares, Hanlon, I wouldn't be saying
for Hanlon. Right, okay.
I wouldn't be saying no, but I'm not saying we should be going and selling these players and making a statement. Nah, no for me.
The squad needs trimmed. I
think the squad needs trimmed, and that will happen naturally. But at the end of the day, we're going to end up with Paul Hanlon and Lewis Stevenson. I don't think they'll ever retire. I think they will be with us until me and you are long gone, Shaun. Longer.
He'll still be playing it.
Exactly. Cammy McEwen asks, do you think Livi could potentially be make or break for Lee Johnson? And realistically, who do we sign in January? We've already touched on the signings. I think if you're listening, Mr. Johnson, then go ahead and sign all the players that I've said, obviously, if you want to keep your job. I don't think the Livingston game will be make or break for Lee Johnson, do you?
No, I don't. And I don't think he should get sacked. And I know we've mentioned it for about 4 podcasts in a row, but my concern is, and this will probably link into someone else's question, but if we don't get a win against Livi, we've then obviously got Celtic, we've then got Hearts, Motherwell, Aberdeen, Hearts again. I don't know where Lee Johnson's getting points. I don't know where he's getting victories, and I'm not just trying to be all doom and gloom here. Like, they are tough fixtures. Aberdeen's a tough fixture.
They would be tough fixtures even if we were playing well.
Yeah, I know, but because we've not been playing well and we've been getting these defeats, at what point are the board going to sit down and say, listen, do we need to act? Obviously, I hope that they don't, because we need stability. That's a fact. But if he doesn't win any of these games, I can't. you can't sit there and say that he doesn't deserve to be sacked.
No, you're absolutely right. I think you're right, and I don't want to see him go, but I think at some point, I mean, what are we now? 8 losses in 9 or 9 losses in 10?
If we hadn't appointed Shaun Maloney, right, do you think... So basically, say if we went from Jack Ross straight to Lee Johnson, do you think Lee Johnson would have been sacked by now?
No.
Do you think he would be sacked if he doesn't win any of the games between now and the end of January against Hearts in the Cup?
Aye.
Do you think at this current situation, we have hired Shaun Maloney and now we've got Lee Johnson, do you think if he doesn't win a game between now and the end of January against Hearts, do you think he'll get sacked?
Yeah.
Right.
I don't want him to get sacked.
No.
I think it'll happen though. Next question is a better question. And one that you like, actually. I don't know if you've seen any of the questions on the Twitter today, Shaun. But Billy asks, in honour of Lionel Messi winning the World Cup, Messi first wore the number 10 jersey against Hibs at Murrayfield. And I was there that day. Were you there?
Yes, I was. I was there that day. I've got my ticket somewhere.
Idrigga Johnson masterclass. He says, who is your all-time favourite Hibs number 10, apart from Tavares?
Oh, right. So I'm not allowed to use Tavares, right? Okay. Scott Allen was number 10 at one point, right?
He was,
yeah.
For a couple of games, and then he went to Celtic.
Yeah. You got one in mind? Well,
it's very, very simple. My favourite Hibs player of all time, Derek Riordan.
Oh, he was number 10, wasn't he? Jeez, I'll not choose him then. I'll go Russell Latipi.
Good shout. And if you're listening, if you've got this far, please let us know, everyone, who your favourite all-time number 10 is for Hibs. We've had quite a few good ones. You know, Martin Boyle's been number 10.
I've got the list here. I've got the list here for the listeners that maybe aren't aware of everyone. So we've got Tavares. That's a cert, that pick. Martin Boyle, Dylan McGeoch, Scott Allen, Liam Craig, big fans' favourite there. Owen Doyle, Derek Riordan, Colin Nish, Benji, Paco Luna, Mixu, Latipi, Darren Jackson, and then that's as far as my list goes, and then it starts going back to the 70s.
Well, we'll not go back there. I'm not too sure how many of our listener base will remember the games in the 70s. But yeah, if you're listening, let us know who your all-time favourite Hibs number 10 is. Next up, Haley asks, can we actually take a positive away from Ibrox? Not getting a doing, and at least we tried. I think...
But now, let me get the we tried trophy.
What about the we had limbs for a minute cup that we've been getting from the Rangers fans? I think there is positives to take. I think going there and having a go at them first half, I think there's positives to take from that. From the second half,
yeah,
definitely a lot poorer, but I mean, I've certainly taken positives, and yeah, at least we never got a do-in. It's a bit tin pot to say, at least we never got pumped off the Rangers.
The positive that we can take as well is that hopefully Lee Johnson and the squad will learn from that disaster of a second half and won't let that happen again.
Yeah, it looked like he'd maybe learned from the pumping that we got at Parkhead, and then tried to implement that in the first half.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I've certainly taken some positives from it. Jem asks, will this nightmare ever end?
No.
I'm sure we got asked that last week, and the answer remains the same. Big Horribine asks, what do we do if the Americans sack Johnson? We'd surely give him till the end of the season in January and then take it from there. I've not got a clue what school Liam Horribine went to, but his grammar is not on point. I've not got a clue what he's trying to ask. I think he's trying to say, surely we give Johnson at least till the end of January, or then, maybe then.
Yeah. He's basically saying, surely the board will give him to at least the end of the season. Well, we've both just kind of alluded to the fact that we do think that potentially he will be sacked by the end of January. Not that we want him to, but considering what our board is like, I don't really know what we do, Liam, if I'm honest.
There's not much we can do, to be honest.
No, there isn't. But I do fear an even worse backlash if Johnson does get sacked than the Maloney sacking, because I think a lot of people will just be fed up. And although you do see Johnson out shouts by some
By
weirdos,
Virgin.
there's a bigger issue there, and that comes with the board and the recruitment and stuff like that as well. So it's not necessarily always the manager that needs to be the one to get the sacking for things to improve. Maybe the board are taking a look at that. Maybe a director of football, sporting director, maybe will come in, and maybe that'll be the change that we need. So we'll see.
Yeah. Last couple. Lorenzo, he asks an easy question: why do we only play for one half per match? Who knows? Maybe the referee should end the games at half time, and we'd do a lot better. Probably we'd have picked up a few points anyway. And then finally, Gav Dick has asked, and he's spelled everything right this time apart from Johnson. He said, when do you think we'll sack Johnston? Who's that? Sorry, Gav. I didn't ever dig Gav out. I'm sorry, mate. I didn't mean that. I was acting up. I'm showing off.
Maybe he's doing it on purpose. Maybe he's doing it on
Yeah,
purpose.
I think so. When do you think we'll sack Johnson? Before the derby in the cup? He asks. I think he'll be going by Motherwell away. Again, I think it depends on results. We've said 100 times in this podcast and other podcasts that we don't want that to happen. But
even if we lost every game between now and the end of January, I would still be surprised if he got sacked. Because
I wouldn't be surprised.
I
wouldn't be surprised.
I feel like the board's scared to.
Well, if we lose, if we don't win between now and the end of January, then that'll be what? How many games is it now with
8, 9?
So I think we've lost 8 and 9. So then even if we lose like another 3, then it's going to be a really, really bad. We wouldn't have won since October.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So who knows? But listen, I don't want him to go, but I think if the results are poor, especially in the derbies, I think he'll get the chop. But that's that. That is that.
It's not going to matter because we're going to win every game between now and the end of January, and then we're going to lose to Ross County or Dundee United or something like that.
But we'll win this Scottish Cup. It's fine. Right, it's been an absolute pleasure, Shaun. Thank you so much for joining me tonight, and enjoy the game on Saturday if you make it along.
Thanks, you too, mate. I'm sure you will.
Oh, well,
You'll enjoy it, not make it along. I mean,
I'll have it on Hibs TV. Maybe I'll turn it off at half time if Lorenzo's logic is anything to go by. Right, thanks everyone for listening, and we'll speak to you in a bit. Bye bye.
Cheers.